Those 6 whispered words hit Admiral Jonathan Reyes like a lightning strike. He froze in the dimly lit corridor of the naval base, the echoes of distant alarms bouncing off the walls. The voice came from a man in janitor's overalls, hunched over a mop, yet speaking with an intensity that demanded trust. Jonathan, trained to make split-second decisions in life and death situations, had never hesitated so quickly in his life. But something in the janitor's eyes, tired yet unyielding, told him this was no ordinary warning. Jonathan Reyes had spent decades at sea, commanding fleets, strategizing in war rooms, and making decisions that weighed heavily on his conscience. Yet here, on a quiet night that should have been routine, he felt completely unarmed, not with weapons, but with fear he didn't know how to navigate. The janitor, who introduced himself simply as Marcus, guided him down a maintenance stairwell, away from the main corridors, whispering instructions with a precision that mirrored a military operation. As they moved through the shadows, Jonathan learned the unimaginable. A small but highly trained insurgent cell had infiltrated the base, seeking critical naval intelligence. Every second mattered. Jonathan's mind raced orders, security protocols, evacuation routes, but Marcus's presence brought an unexpected calm. This man, with calloused hands and a quiet voice, exuded a courage born not from rank or medals, but from something far more human: love for his daughter, his life, and the idea of doing what was right, no matter the risk. In those tense minutes, Jonathan realized he didn't know Marcus at all. A single dad janitor, working nights to provide for a little girl he spoke of often in quiet asides. Yet here he was, risking everything for a man who could have been a stranger. The thought struck Jonathan hard. Courage didn't always come from grand gestures or uniforms. It could come from the unlikeliest of people, driven by love and loyalty. They reached a small utility room and barricaded themselves inside. Jonathan's military training kicked in, and he started mapping out a counter plan, but Marcus stopped him. "We have to stay calm," he said. "Panic will get you killed faster than anything else." It was a simple phrase, but in that moment it carried the weight of lived experience. Jonathan listened, breathed, and for the first time in years let someone else lead. Hours passed like minutes. Every sound of footsteps outside made their hearts leap. Marcus recounted stories of his daughter, of small victories and simple joys, grounding Jonathan in humanity amidst the chaos. And then the real test came. The insurgents discovered the utility room. Trapped, with nowhere to run, Jonathan felt panic rise. But Marcus's hand on his shoulder stopped him. "Pretend I'm your wife," Marcus whispered again, and Jonathan understood. It wasn't literal. It was about trust, vulnerability, and playing a role that allowed instinct and love to guide them. In those fleeting moments, Jonathan followed Marcus's lead, mimicking a calm authority, speaking with confidence he didn't feel. And together, they bought enough time for security forces to intervene. When the alarms finally silenced and the chaos dissipated, Jonathan realized the depth of what had happened. A man society might overlook, a janitor, a single father, had changed the course of his life. Marcus had shown him a type of heroism that wasn't about medals or rank, but about selflessness, courage, and the quiet strength that comes from caring deeply for others. Days later, Jonathan invited Marcus and his daughter to the Admiral's residence. He had realized something profound. Heroism wasn't always about duty. Sometimes it was about connection. Watching Marcus play with his daughter in the Admiral's garden, Jonathan understood that life's true victories were measured not in battles won, but in lives touched. In the end, "You're in danger, pretend I'm your wife" became more than words. They were a testament to trust, bravery, and the human heart's ability to rise in the darkest moments. Jonathan Reyes returned to his duties, but he carried a lesson that would shape the rest of his life. Courage doesn't need recognition, and love doesn't need ceremony. It only needs a willing heart. And sometimes, the most unlikely people remind us what it truly means to be alive.